Hello, comic readers. Welcome to episode 33 of the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. I'm your host, Dean. And if you're joining us on one of the live streams right now on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, thank you very much for participating and joining us this evening. I've got some interference from somebody going on there. Can somebody sort that out? If you're new and you don't know who we are, we're a book club for people who like to read comic books, and every week we'll take a different story arc or collective volume, which we'll all read along together, and then we will gather by these live streams to give our verdicts, thoughts, reviews, and we will be asking you for your scores as well at the end of this, and finding out where it all falls on the Nerd Herd leaderboard. So that's it, I think, with the admin. If you want any more information other than that, there should be a link in the description wherever you are right now. If you click that, it will take you to everything and everywhere that we are. Right, so this week we are reading Witchblade Volume 1 from 2018. This was originally published in 2017 in its single issue format, and the trade paperback collects issues 1 to 6 of the 18 issue series. This was, of course, published by Image, and it was written by Caitlin Kittredge, and the art was by Roberta Ingranata, and the colors by Brian Valenza.
Nice.
Ooh. I am hoping I pronounced all of that right.
Sounded right to me.
That was a tough one, I'll be honest with you. I was dreading that one. I was thinking, I'm going to mess that up. I'm going to mess it up. All right, as always, I am joined by my co-hosts, my comic book compadres, and we also have a special guest with us for this episode, and that is the person that chose this book. Last week, we had a random pick, and Tom won the pick. So we're joined by Tom. You may know from This Month in Movies. He's always in the chat. He's here every week. How you doing, Tom? You all right?
I'm good, thank you.
We are joined by Phil from the YouTube channel Phil's Nerdiverse.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
We have Scott from the YouTube channel Scott Shelf.
Shemai everyone, how you doing?
And we have Shane from Dawn of Comics.
Uru, I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah, I know. I've just noticed, mate. I will move you around.
Jeez.
There you go.
Thank you.
How are we? Are we good?
All good.
Feeling fine.
Yeah, we ready for another comic book discussion?
Bring it on.
Always.
Right then. So let's meet everybody then who is joining us and participating with episode 33. Of course, we have Tom here saying, good evening, nerd herders. There he is, they're waving as well on the screen. We've got Stormcore Collectibles saying hashtag early squad. Again, we've got the early squad hashtag going. I love that. Who else do we have in here? We've got Firehawk joining us as well, saying hello, hello. And Adam. We have Adam here saying lesser, leather, nether, weathered, wetter, weather, better. How's that?
Nailed it.
Try your best, Adam. And we've got Triple G Comics saying evening all, joining us too. Just scrolling on down, bear with me. We've got Liam joining us as well. Howdy, Liam. Hope you are well, mate. Who else do we have in here? We're just scrolling on down and checking. We have SCC joining us. Howdy to you. Scrolling on that. I'm just making sure it doesn't jump on me here, folks. We have Daryl saying hello, nerds, with a nerd emoji.
I think it's supposed to apt emoji.
Yes, most definitely for this show. I would heartily agree. And we have Off My Shelves joining us as well. I can see he's in here. You're gonna have to bear with me. I'm getting some lag in the chat going on here as well. So we've got Off My Shelves joining us here as well. We have Fuzzy Dunlop saying evening too. That's a great name, Fuzzy Dunlop. And I think, Scott, is that everybody?
Not at all. You've missed loads. You've got Coraline. You've got Comics versus the
Oh,
World,
my
Perpetual,
word.
Beth, Amy.
Dearie me. Hold on then. We have Amy.
There she is.
Joining us. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I've got some lag when I'm pressing buttons, you see. We've got Comics versus the World. Evening all. I haven't read this, but I'll watch the replay back and see if it's worth my time. Have a good one. You too, my friend. We have Perpetual Comics, as Scott said, joining us as well, saying evening, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We also have Beth joining us as well, saying hey, everyone. Howdy, Beth. Nearly missed you there. You can thank Scott on that one. Scott, am I done?
Coraline,
who actually says Mr. Me right there. There's the clue. We've got Coral and Adam joining us as well. That's so hard when you got lag and you try to press buttons. And forgive me, everyone, if I have missed you. As I always say, just message me on Instagram and shout at me. And
I feel like that took so long. It's now time for glasses on, glasses off.
Yeah, get your waves out.
Get your waves out.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, well, I know there's been some problems on YouTube recently. I had a notification come through saying there were some upload problems and stuff, so I don't know whether that's a repercussion of that, because connections and everything seem fine. So anyway, let's shut up and get on with it. As always, we're going to need a synopsis about the book, and usually that is by the person who chose it, and this week that's our special guest, Mr. Tom. Take it away, Tom.
So this story follows Alex Underwood as she starts the story gunned down and left for dead in New York City. She wakes up with a new bracelet and she becomes the Witchblade, and it's the start of her story.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially this is...
the easiest way to explain it.
Yeah, I just add to that, this is essentially considered the reboot of Witchblade. So, you know, this does go back a lot further, but this is a different character. It's a different character design. So this is, I think, what people term the reboot of Witchblade, for people who haven't read along there. All right, let's get this underway then. Tom, do you want to start us off, mate? Do you want to tell us why you picked this and lead us into what you think about it?
Okay. So I picked this because I got the first issue from a mystery box last year. And I enjoyed the first issue. So I've been hunting these volumes down because I enjoyed the story. And I remember the original Witchblade, well, not the original, the other Witchblade from a few years back. And so I hunted it down, and last week I received them all, and I won the Nerd Herder selection. I'm sorry.
I think the question is, Dean, is like not the Tom. Like, why did you pick this? It's like, why did you make us read this?
Well, because
I can just see here as well. Firehawks put a comment in the chat here as well, saying what a read, right? I think already we've got an indication of where this is going to go.
Hence, sorry, Blade.
All right, Scott, come on, mate. Tell us what you thought. Let's start with the art then, people. Let's talk about the art.
All right, well, it's probably a good thing that we're starting with the art. Because, in my opinion, that was the only decent thing about this book. The art was... like, if you just took it for what it was lovely, great designs, the lines were great. I think my favorite part about the art were just, you know, like the way they did like the smoke wisps.
Yeah,
I loved those, man. They were great. They looked lovely, but the art is the only good thing about the book, in my opinion.
I knew Shay would say no.
Yeah, it's definitely the stronger point in the book. Let's put it that way. Phil, how about yourself, mate?
Art-wise, to be fair, again, like Scott's saying, it was very pleasing on the eye. Like, I love the kind of use of like even like the snow, like the snowstorms and stuff. Again, the art had problems because I didn't really understand what was going on. Like, kind of fight scenes, like nothing was really. They just had the two, like the dark demons and this Witchblade person, and nothing really happened. They just showed each other, like, this is what I can do. Here's my stance, and then that was it. There was no actual thing occurring. But yeah, like again, 90% of the art I actually thought was quite nice to look at. But that's the book, folks.
Yeah, like visually, it's wonderful, but the art cannot carry the story, and it doesn't tell the story. It doesn't tell us what's going on, what's happening. And,
my biggest disappointment was so they built this up to kind of like, she has this bracelet that turns into this kind of, well, it turns into the Witchblade, and you kind of expect to see this big reveal of her looking glamorous and strong and powerful, and you got that, but it was a big letdown. Like that, the kind of, when you first seen her as the Witchblade, it's just like, this could be anyone wearing a flipping, you know, gym gear or something, going for a run. It didn't look good at all. That's just
Yeah, because that was like at the end of issue 4, wasn't it? It was like the last panel of issue 4, and you see her like looking really cool in whatever the hell is going on, and then that's it. And then issue 5 doesn't show the beginning of this fight or halfway through this fight. It just carries on and just nothing. And I was like, what happened? Like, why didn't I see any cool fight scenes with this? You know, what she I still don't know what is she capable of. It's just
I'll just interject on you there and put a caveat in there. Like, this is only volume 1. There are 3 trades and 18 issues in total, so maybe we do see more of what she's capable of further down the line. But I do get your criticism, because one of mine was like, it's called Witchblade, and we didn't even really get that much information about what the Witchblade is. You know, like, what is it supposed to be for? Like, we didn't really get a lot of that at all. So I do get your criticism there as well. Shane, how about yourself, mate? How was the art for you?
Bland. Blah. It was just blah.
Don't hold back, Jim.
It was just blah. It was just your bog standard drawing. It was just everything was generic. Every character was generic. Every face was generic. Every background was just generic and blah.
See,
for me.
I don't think, I wouldn't go so far as to say it was blah for me. Like, I'm going to be really controversial here now, given how already we're kind of jumping on this. If I was going to compare this to something in context of what we've read during these episodes, I thought this had more in common with like Dan Mora than anything else that we've read to me.
Back.
No, I genuinely did. I was looking at it, and I think the colours as well probably help with the feel of that. But yeah, I got that feeling.
Can I defend Dean here as well? I'm not saying compared to Dan Mora, but whenever I was reading, maybe it was the snow. I was definitely getting Klaus vibes from it. Not as good as Klaus art, but getting the kind of same kind of vibe from it. But yeah, it's not as good as Dan Mora. The art, the faces, for example, were very inconsistent. Like, some looked really well, and throughout the book they just looked.
Let me put the rephrase that. Like, this isn't as good as Dan Mora. Let me just say. I'm just saying, like, I got that comparison there. Like, if I was going to compare it to something that we've read on here, let's go backtrack a little bit. Like, hold up. Let me just catch it with the comments, folks, before we carry on. Amy is saying that you guys are brutal this evening. Sassy Scott straight in. Got Off My Shelves, who is saying, I've still got some lag here with the comments, so you have to bear with me. This started out intriguing. Issue 1 was good, but it was messy and confusing overall. I had no clue what character could see what magic at various points, and some things made no sense. I think that's kind of a valid point, and I think I'm probably going to touch on a few of those things there too as well. Liam is saying he didn't manage to read it this week, but it sounds like he didn't miss much.
Yeah.
Bullet dodged, my friend. Bullet dodged. Adam is saying art was quite visually nice to look at, but I didn't feel it was great at portraying the story. Again, I think you've got a key point there, mate, as to what's probably going to come up in this discussion. And bear with me, the bloody chat has just jumped down on me again. Where was I? Sorry. Firehawk, no fights. Just to look at me, I have the Witchblade, then it's over. So that's kind of what you're saying there, Scott, as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Off My Shelves is saying, art-wise, the repetitive use of character faces was a little irritating too. Issue 4, page 8, being a standout. I know it saves time drawing-wise, but to reuse so many on one page is a little lazy. Did that happen?
Yeah, I was going to say that when you actually asked me about my opinion on the art, but, you know.
Wow. Adam was saying, I was getting deja vu, thinking back to Doctor Strange, many similarities in my thoughts on each. Could this be Scott's redemption arc?
I'm coming back.
No, sorry, Doctor Strange was worse than this.
It was.
Well, we'll wait and see, won't we? At the end. And we've got Coral here saying, I found the art quite pleasing early on, and later on, quite scratchy / lazy at times. Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think it sounds like I'm probably more of a fan of the art than most of you here. Adam as well saying there was snow in this book? Question mark. I think I've already started purging it from my brain. There we go. And I like Triple G comics. He's just sneaked in here. Utter pap. Says Triple G.
They need to put that on the next trade that comes out.
Yeah, just like right on the utter pap Triple G comics. Right, let's get to the pages that we've chosen then as well, so we can have a chat about that. Let me find them here. So Tom, you want to start with yours, mate?
Yes. So this page depicts part of the story where the Witchblade gauntlet tells some of the heritage, and it's only in this one panel, this one page, that you see that the Witchblade goes back to ancient times, and there's certain people across history that have wielded the Witchblade gauntlet. But yeah, I mean, this is one of the ones with snow in it.
Oh, there it is.
I'm sorry, it is. And I mean, the art style on this is quite nice. However, when I read this, I went, Shane's going to hate this. The faces are dreadful.
Yeah.
In the first issue, it's fine. But after that, as I think it was Caroline or someone that said, it's just reused art. Or it's just a nose, eyes. And so that was my favourite panel because it actually had some distinction.
I will say sometimes there's not even a nose and a mouth and eyes.
Yeah, that's true.
It was just a blank head on a couple of the pages.
But I found that probably one of the nicest pages in the book.
I think that page reminds
The
me
colouring
of
is fantastic on it.
It's very Buffy-esque, isn't it?
Yes.
Like the Slayers throughout time sort of thing.
Slayers.
Stone Cold Collectibles, he's just pointing out here, you know it's bad when we're talking about the weather. It's like grannies outside the butchers. All right, Phil, let's move on to yours then, mate. You chose this one.
Yeah, I mean, the art was fine throughout. I mean, I was disappointed with the main kind of reveals of Witchblade, so it's hard to actually find something I really, really liked. But I just quite like this because it's like the reuse of the panels. In fact, that she's sitting in the ambulance and she kind of disappears and stuff. And I just like the detail in the background that was kind of unnecessary. That art, that kind of detail. Yeah, there's more snow, and it was quite atmospheric, I suppose, really, wasn't it? But yeah, this in terms of detail, this is probably the most detailed page I could find. Like even the leather jackets of the policeman type thing, it's kind of comes through really nice. And again, limited in what we could pick, and this was for me, it was the best. But it's a shame it was ruined by a lot of rubbish storytelling, speech bubbles.
I think the artist really captured kind of like that kind of wintry, snowy New York feel really well for me, and I like the lighting, and I know that a lot of that's done by the colorist. But yeah, I really thought that they did well on that front of things with the art for me. Yeah,
throughout, like you see the red lights on the ambulance and stuff, they've done that a few times throughout, like street lights in New York and so on. They've done that. Like it's quite nice that way, but.
Yeah, and like Scott said, with the smoke as well, those touches of light and the smoke and stuff, I quite enjoyed those for me personally. Is that you with your page there, Phil? Any more?
Yeah. There's not really a lot to say about it. That's it.
All right, Scott, over to you.
This page was so cool, and it was, you know what I'm like with my kind of mythology kind of stuff, and it kind of brought me back to that kind of stuff, and it just looks great, and I love the fact you got all these 13 women down here, like these brave, what do they say, brave warriors or something, brave people, whatever, like with all these cool looking abilities and weapons, and I just thought it looked absolutely fantastic the way that this was drawn, and how all these characters, how all these women were designed and their powers, and it actually made me think like I would like to read like spin-off stories about these characters. But maybe if there was a different writer.
I would advise you to read The Darkness.
Okay.
I think for me, though, this part of the book sort of took away the specialness of the Witchblade. It just wasn't special anymore. It was just one of 13. It should just made it part of a collection. I like the uniqueness of it. It should have just been a standalone weapon that was created. Personally, that's
that whole backstory, the part round here when we're getting told about it, like demon walk the earth and all of that stuff, and it says as well, doesn't it, that these like artifacts come with powers, but they can make you like homicidal or like, and I'm just thinking, well, this doesn't sound like a good thing. Like, why would you want that?
No, there's a caveat to each one that you're either going to kill yourself or just go mentally insane.
Yeah, I'm thinking that doesn't sound like a good thing. Like, But yeah, I do like that page. I think that was a pretty standout page, just because you do get to see them all at the bottom there. But I kind of see you saying about that it not being unique. You know what I mean? If you look
at a couple of the faces, there's just no detail to them as well. There's just nothing there. I mean, the one's got an eye. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of forgive that because sometimes in busier panels you do find some artists, don't put all of that detail in, and as we've seen before in some books, sometimes you don't need all of that detail in there. So I can kind of forgive that. Like, I'm not going to poo-poo the art personally for me too much, because I don't really think it was. I wouldn't say it was awful. It was probably on the bottom side of good, but I don't think it was dreadful.
Bottom side.
Yeah. Is that like good minus?
Yeah, I'm just kind of like trying to come up with a scale here for people.
There's a comment there. There's no snow on this page, so it automatically sucks.
There you go.
There's fire.
People loving the snow.
It's nice snow.
Right, let's just check the comments then before we move on, because I can see we've had quite a few jumping on down here as well. Carl says there seem to be quite a few blank eyes as well at times. It was a bit weird. We have Off My Shelf saying Phil's enthusiasm is overwhelming.
Calm down.
Comic Bounty saying there were times when people looked demonically possessed because their eyes were completely blank for a few panels, but pretty sure they weren't actually meant to be. It's not sounding good in this as well, is it? I'm just trying to scroll on down here. Then Fuzzy Dunlap, the poor guy, he says, "This is my first episode here, but I must say I love the brutally harsh opiniens." Savage. We're not usually this savage, Fuzzy Dunlap. We're not. We're usually quite diplomatic, and again, we appreciate that this may be some people's thing, and that's why at the end we will take an average and see what everybody thinks. The comic board here is saying, "Damn, I lost track of time playing a board game, but happy to join now. Welcome to you, my friend. Hope you're well." And I like Perpetual Comics' thing here. The lettering is nice, he says. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. No, it wasn't, in my opinion. Like,
it was all over the place. They were pointing at the wrong people through half.
Let's just touch on that before we kind of like move on with the art panels there as well. Like, I weren't the only one, because I know, Scott, I think you were the first one to point it out. You actually sent a message, didn't you, say,
yes,
they're not being weird, but am I reading the right thing? Is this an error? Because the speech bubbles on this were just completely wonky, weren't they?
Yeah, just pointing at the wrong people.
On some pages, I was reading her thoughts, and then I'd go back and read the bubbles, and then just try and work out where it's supposed to be. It was horrendous. I mean, at one panel, I was like, "Have I missed 2 pages? What's happened here?"
Yeah.
Which for comic writing is pretty much 101, isn't it? Those speech bubbles are pretty much visually the way you're delivering that to people. So that's a pretty bad markdown for me. Like, on the get-go, if you can't get the bloody directions of your speech bubbles right, like that's not a good indicator. Okay, let's hop back onto the art before we push onto the writing. Shane, do you want to cover yours, mate?
Yeah, so I picked this page because this disappointed me the most out of the book, because I had soldiered through. I had soldiered through 4 issues of this garbage.
Wait a minute, can I just stop you? You're supposed to pick your favourite page in the book, not the one you hated the most.
This is his favourite worst one.
Shane, tell us what you really think.
Let it out, buddy.
They don't hold it back.
4 issues it took to get her in her costume, and I'm expecting a sexy lady about to kick some butt, and I get this head to toe neon garbage wrapped around her, and it's upside down. Why is it? Why I have to?
She's in the water.
She's
Yeah.
drowning.
Yeah, she was. She was in the water at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then she's got all the tendrils around her. It's like hentai. I don't want to see it.
Savage.
Yeah. See, I'll be honest. I liked that page. I really did.
I bet you did.
I also share Shane's disappointment. I just thought that the reveal of Witchblade was just poor. It could have been so much better.
Oh, was this the reveal?
That was the first time, yeah.
See, technically for me, I don't think that is the reveal. In the book.
I think it's at the end of issue 5.
Hold on a minute. You don't get to see that until I think further down the line with like 5 and 6. I think when they pull the gun, you get the reveal of the new suit. That's, I think, her in the water with the. I think that would have been like the smoke tendrils, wouldn't it? Like when she was on ground.
When she went into the water, I got this bit that she was accepting the Witchblade. She was starting to accept the power of it, so it doesn't take her. So I thought that was it showing it's manifesting itself for the first time, because then you see later on she's got her armor's actually black.
Which brings me to the page I chose, because I didn't know whether people were going to pick it, and it wasn't my favorite page in the book, but I do feel like we have to have the new suit represented visually in there, because as I said, this was the reboot, so the actual suit was that. So, and I've got to be honest, I've not read Witchblade, the original one, but I have seen the armor and the gauntlet, and I have to say, for me, the design on that was far better than this. And for those that haven't read along, the armor essentially is kind of like a symbiote suit of armor, like. That's essentially what it is, and this is the kind of the new look of that, and it just didn't click for me.
That's something I was going to say. You know, as a Venom fan, this is the worst symbiote story I've ever read, and she kind of looks like Scream almost there a wee bit. But I haven't read Witchblade, but we've all seen. Well, most of us have seen Witchblade from the 90s. We all know it looks fantastic. Why did they think this was an improvement? Like, why did they go this direction? I don't understand. Were they trying to tone down the kind of over-sexualized kind of stuff, or what? Because they've just toned it down and made it
the answer to that would be yes. In the afterword, I think, of issue 1, they're answering questions. I can't remember who the interviewer was, but they did say they wanted to move away from their kind of the sexualized 90s, you know, like we talked about before when we were talking about 90s books like last week. They wanted to get away from that, you know, the kind of the over sexualization of the hero, so they kind of redid it. So yeah, the answer to that is yeah, that's exactly what they were going for.
I don't have a problem with them moving away from the whole, you know, making it too sexualized or whatever. Just don't put her in a morph suit.
Yeah. There's a happy medium. They went too far. They might as well give her a cardigan. Do you know what I mean? It's just like...
They even covered her face. I mean, she looks like a mummy.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like it, but I just think it's not original. It's something we've seen kind of like many times now. You know, I know this was 2018, but still, I think this was, even by that standards, this was a bit trite.
Tripe. Utter pap.
Yeah, as see, I'm trying to remain diplomatic here, but yeah. So let's just catch up with the comments here as well. Caroline is saying the story seemed to just skip forward suddenly, which made you think you were missing bits. Totally agree with that. I think we're going to get to the writing now as well. SEC saying there was a moment where Alex cut someone's hand off, then all of a sudden her own hand is bleeding and wraps in bandages.
And the guy still has his hand.
What happened?
Yeah. Did everybody else read it as that happened as well?
Because the hand was missing, and the guy was holding her arm or something with that hand, and the other hand was missing. But they chopped off this hand. I didn't understand where the spur hand came from.
He didn't have a hand anyway, did he? His hand was kind of gone, and then they get into this fight. She stabs the kind of severed hand, and then her hand's bleeding. I'm like, what?
Yeah. It looked like she did some spell on it, like she cut her hand to bleed on his hand to do something, but it was just not explained.
The way I tricked my brain around it to move on from it and not dwell on it was that when she stabbed the hand, I just took it that maybe she slipped with the knife and cut herself. Like I filled in that gap in my own head. Like whether that's right and wrong, I don't know. But I needed something there to just move on from that. Like, you know what I mean?
It happens so many times though. Like when she's in the office, then she's going to the church with the possessed girl, and then all of a sudden she's falling into the church. Like they're standing outside, and then she's falling into the church. I was like, I've obviously missed a page here somewhere.
I honestly thought I had a bad copy.
Off my shelves, he's saying I think he wasn't impressed with the narration boxes too, saying didn't make sense when the Witchblade was talking to her in narration boxes.
Yeah.
I think that those boxes were just a main bugbear of mine, if I'm honest with you. They were a real pain to kind of like keep track of. And Coral was saying, why did her hair get so much longer on that page? I'm guessing we're talking about the one where she's in the armor. And off my shelf say, you say they were desexualizing her, but I'm sure on that page she's gone up more than a few cup sizes. So, all right. Well, we're not getting into that. You know, we're going to have one goddamn episode where we don't talk about breasts.
What about Secret Wars?
Like, what am I here for then?
So let's move on to the writing, and I think we're already kind of like moving into that arena now as well. Anyway, but just to kick us off, you know, we've covered the speech bubbles and stuff, so let's move on from that. Phil, over to you, mate.
It was just too messy. There was too many things happening throughout the story that it didn't flow properly. Like, for one, I don't know how she got the gauntlet. I don't know who Ash is, like where he appeared from. She seems to be like a witness services, like an investigator type thing, and she's like protecting these young people, and she's protecting this older woman who. And there's just so much stuff that jumps through the story. And none of it is about Witchblade until like her being Witchblade until issue 5. It's like it was just too messy.
Just on your Ash comment there, like I'm pretty sure. Again, I haven't read on, and I'm not going to, but I'm pretty sure that some reveal about Ash when we get to the end of this volume, we are kind of gearing up of finding out more about Ash, aren't we? So I'm presuming that comes a bit further down the line. If anyone has read on. Sorry, but can you let us know like what happened?
Well, the only thing that I know of Ash is that he protects the Witchblade, the actual gauntlet, not the girl, because he does say stay in it. If you reject
I think Phil's point is like we don't know anything about him, like we don't know who he is, and it makes him a very kind of throwaway character when you get him the impression he's supposed to be somebody important, but we got nothing to go on with the guy. Because that's how
even at the end, he was the one that was held captive, and because they're trying to get Alex's loved ones. It's like, well, there's I forget their names now. The friend, the DA, and the other friend who owns the store would be more important to her than Ash. It's like,
but she like even says like they've gone after people I care about. It's like you didn't show us this relationship build. You hated him every panel we've seen you have any communication with him. You don't like him. So why do you care?
And I felt that affected me as a reader as well, because I didn't know anything about his history or his personality to contrary that opinion, to have a flip side. So she hates him. She's the main character. So I'm just kind of, all right, I'm supposed to like dislike him too. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing there for me to go on to say, oh no, she's being unfair. Like,
Can someone else explain something for me? Because I didn't really grasp this. I don't know if I just didn't care at this point, but whenever the demon kind of shows themselves at the start, is there two demons and then one kind of tells the other one to go away? And he's, I didn't understand why like the demons were talking to each other whenever they were first revealed to be her, like in the body of her old friend Johnny.
My understanding, there were two things. There was that one, that kind of like weird blobby thing that attacks, and then you've got the kind of the overarching
that was possessed
demon
to the girl.
Yeah. That was my understanding. If I'm wrong, somebody pull me up on that.
No, you had the one that could jump to anyone who had the tattoo, and then you had the one that had his own body.
That's how I read it as well. Yeah.
Scott? No idea. Not a clue. Like, honestly, no idea. But like, I think I just like I didn't have a clue what was going on for the whole 6 issues. Like it was like like Phil said, the flow was non-existent. It was jumpy and choppy and messy, and in all honesty, like I didn't like the main character. It was like a cliche, pretty journalist who's had a crap life and wanted to prove a point. And I was just like, it's just everything about it was just so.
The other thing was
That's
too, she was held captive as a youngster, and they just kind of brushed over that.
Yeah,
like, that's an order. It's just like I was held in the basement or whatever. But okay, talk more about that, please. Like what?
Yeah,
what
but
is this-
again, I'm gonna try and play the devil's advocate again, and maybe that is something that comes in the second volume. Maybe we do get to see what happened there.
Yeah,
I'm not
reviewing
falling
volume
for
1.
Oh no, I got no interest. Like there wasn't enough in this to make me want to go and read another 6 issues. No, there wasn't. Let's just check the comments before we carry on with the writing talk. SCC says too many characters got introduced too fast without fleshing out the current ones. I think it was very choppy with the characterization. And Coral agrees. She says, yes, I don't understand why she supposedly had those like negative feelings for Ash. I guess she's referring to there. Pedro Comic says, jumpy, choppy, and messy. Sums up my YouTube edits.
Thank you.
And we got Adam here as well. He says, one of the main points of the premise is that she dies but is spared. He says, I can't even say for sure which happened at this point. It was a mess. I agree. And you're touching on a point now, Adam, that has niggled me since I've read it. We find out at the beginning she's climbing to that rooftop, should I say, and she gets shot, I want to say.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, who shoots her?
The birds fella.
Groves, isn't it? Groves is his name.
Yeah.
The detective that she ends up killing, that guy.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah, just I agree with that. Like the whole thing was just consistently choppy is the right word. It gets overused a lot, but I found, when your brain and you're reading from panel to panel, there's kind of like a momentum that happens inside your own mind. And I can't put my finger on it. So I'm probably going to do a real bad job of articulating it, but something kept breaking that momentum for me. And I think it was the dialogue. I want to say it was the dialogue for me. I want to say that I had to read something and then I'm going, hang on, is this just happened here? Or have I missed something there? And the way things were phrased, I think it was that for me.
I
agree with that actually.
It felt like, when you're watching a TV show and it goes in the break and it comes back and they're somewhere else and they're doing something else because during the break they did whatever they were meant to do. That's what it felt like between pages. Like every page there was a break because now they're jumping forward to this part, they're jumping to that part, they're jumping to this part. It's like they wanted to tell a story with, say, 120 pages, but they only had 60 pages to do it in. So they took every other page out.
See, I understand like the
2 more stories.
That she's able to see the future and the past, essentially, with this gauntlet, doesn't she? It mentions that they can see the future and stuff, but it wasn't done well to the point where like these kind of like memories as well, these bad dreams. It was hard to kind of know what was actually happening in the story and what was a dream. And it was just done very poorly. Like I don't understand.
I think from between what you're saying there about it almost being quite difficult to tell which bits were dreams and which bits were reality, and like Shane just said, of like cutting away from a commercial, I think you're spot on. And I think for me, throw in there the problem I had with the dialogue, which I think contributed a lot to what you guys are talking about. That's what really made me struggle with this and has really put me off reading any further with this particular series. I do want to go back and read the original Witchblade, but I'm really not interested based on that writing with this. Tom, how about yourself, mate?
Yeah, I think we've all said it. I really enjoyed issue 1. I still enjoyed reading issue 1, and then it just went, what is this? So much so, I've got another 2 volumes if anyone wants them.
Not it.
Go on, you want them. Yeah, so I mean, when it was jumping backwards to when it was flashed back in to when she was a child and she was captured, there wasn't enough information on what the hell was going on and why it was flashing back. And then when it flashed back to when she was a journalist in the Afghan war, they could have fleshed that out, but instead they didn't. And then they picked it up 3 issues later, and then at the end of the bloody volume, like, what the?
I'll be honest. The thing with her being a reporter in Afghanistan, when that come up, I thought, oh, this could get quite interesting, because I thought they'd done the New York vibe really well. I thought we were going to get some gritty kind of Afghanistan during that kind of time. You know what I mean? I thought we were going to get something quite substantial out of that. And then when they threw in the kind of the old childhood sweetheart, and we get that reveal at the end, and put your fingers in your ears, folks, if you haven't read along with this, that he's sitting on the bed at the end and he's the one in that dream and stuff as a demon. Yeah. I thought, I was like, what a cop out. That felt like such a cop out to me.
Yeah. Yeah, fully agree with that.
Do you know another thing about the writing style? So whenever Ash was held captive at the end, and she was going to rescue, and she got the cop, I forget her name, the other cop, the internal affairs captain,
Victoria.
Yeah, so they're in her car and they seem to be in a bit of a rush, and then all of a sudden they just stop and have a chat for like a whole page. Like, yeah. That's just like, well, you can't be that much of a rush. You actually don't care about him because you're just having a wee chat about, I don't even know what they were talking about now. I completely forget, but it was rubbish.
And I'll be honest, right? I liked the character of what was her name? Alex Underwood.
Yeah, I liked her.
I liked her as a character. I thought she was quite good working in that kind of like women's services for the DA and all of that. And I generally thought she was quite good. But the thing that let me down, I think, with her character is like she's supposed to have now the possession of this ancient artifact that essentially makes her a modern day superhero in New York. And every time she was in trouble, she was like phoning her friends, going, "Could you come pick me up? I need some help." like what the hell?
And the other guys, Magil, the guy who owned the store, like he wasn't even really her friend. I can see what they tried to do with him to try and make him a kind of interesting character. And in all fairness, he probably was the most interesting of the lot.
I think he was supposed to be the comic relief, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's what I felt.
Yeah. There's very little of that, to be honest. Very little relief in general. It was relief when I stopped reading it, to be honest.
Let's just catch up with these comments here as well. SEC saying, I think there's a few jokes going on here. He's saying, but she couldn't look into the future to see her SHIT costume design. And Off My Shelves says the snow was blinding her. And then SCC comes back with, well, that explains everything. 10 out of 10 from him. There you go.
The only 10.
And Firehawk, I think, sums it up. He says it had promise, maybe, but it fell straight to Hades pretty quickly. I do kind of see why you would choose this if you'd read issue 1, Tom, like you did. Issue 1 wasn't actually that bad of a read. It was still, I think I got about halfway through where I started to kind of maybe see a few things that, and I thought, okay, that's just issue. But then when you get to 2, it's like all of the things that they probably should have corrected off the back of issue 1 actually just seem to get worse.
Yeah, it weren't just me there.
Carl was saying we thought the ideas were quite unoriginal. We'd seen a lot of them in brackets done better before. I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
completely.
This felt like it was done just to get a TV series. It feels like it was your bog standard CW TV series. They want to reboot the TV show, so they need the characters, they need the generic looking actors and actresses to play the parts. So
did they make a TV show? The TV show came out, didn't it? Or didn't?
No, that was before this. That's based on Sarah, the detective that was the Witchblade before in the original one, I think. Yeah. Shane, have you seen the television series? Yeah, do you want to just tell people, before we get to do final thoughts, do you want to just let people know if it's worth watching or?
I think it's worth watching. It was a police procedural, but she obviously gets her gauntlet, and she doesn't, sadly, wear this costume on the television show. She has a full suit of armor when people see her, but when we see her, we just see her with the gauntlet, and it can turn into different things, a blade, a mace, and she's got temporal powers as well. So it's a really fun really gritty show. There's only 2 seasons as well, so it's not much to watch if you want to go back and check it out.
Okay, well, I think Firehawk agrees with you there as well, mate. And we have Comic Band here saying, this is the kind of comic that makes me appreciate just how good the top tier comics are. I want to go and add another point onto every 10 out of 10 book I've ever read. You know, I think there's a valid point now. I know there's a joke in there, but I think it's a valid point that when you do read something like this, I think it makes the other stuff shine. Like you realize how difficult it is to just actually get the landing right with a comic book, like for an artist and a writer. Like you don't just write something and draw something and then boom, there you go, you've got a killing joke. You know, it takes a lot, you know, and I think not just a lot of luck and a lot of skill, a lot of luck as well. I think, you know, it has to be at the right time and it has to capture something, because otherwise it's just going to end up like this. You know?
I think you have to have respect for your source material as well, and I don't think this does.
No. They try to change it.
See, I'm kind of sad to hear that, because when I read that interview at the beginning, I don't know whether you guys read that interview with the artist and the writer. They genuinely seem to have a lot of. When I read that, I got quite excited to read the book, because this seemed like 2 women who had quite a lot of passion for, you know, the kind of Witchblade as a character. But then when you get into it, it just didn't click.
Right, so I probably shouldn't have done this, but do you want to see the armor from Volume 2?
No, we don't, because we're talking about Volume 1. We don't want to know about Volume 2. All right, so let's put the glasses on and take the glasses off, and let's do it then. Let's get round to the final thoughts and the scores. It's that time. Again, if you're watching along with us, folks, and you've read along this week, you know the drill. 1 to 10. Let's get your final thoughts. Leave your comments as well, what you like, what you didn't like, and we'll pick them up when we'll get an average at the end of it. So, Tom, seeing as you're our guest and you're the man that chose the book, just so everyone knows that, I'm pointing that out. If you want to send any hate mail, it's this month in movies on Instagram. Please don't leave the comments on this channel. I'm a joking. Tom, over to you, mate. What's your final thoughts and your scores, mate?
It should have been a good premise. I think it was down to bad writing, bad artist, great colorist. Volume 1, I'm giving it a 3.
Okay. Why just a 3 then, man?
Because it just didn't read the way I was hoping it would. The writing was all over the place. The artwork wasn't up to scratch on most panels, unless it was a larger panel of her. And the story was incoherent in some places. It would just skip, and you'd be like, "What have I missed?" So, unfortunately, it's a low score.
Okay, it's a 3 from Tom, who chose the book.
I know, yeah.
Bill, over to you, buddy.
It was messy. The story was messy. I haven't read the original Witchblade, but I want to read it. But I feel like this already does a huge disservice for the original. I like the character, Alex, whatever her surname was. But again, they put so much into it, like how being held captive and going to Afghanistan, and childhood sweetheart being killed in front of her, but they didn't really kind of do anything with it. They just kind of put it there. I get it's volume 1, but I just thought we could have more of that. Artwork I actually quite liked it in places, just inconsistent, but it was quite pleasing on the eye to look at, and color was very good too. And I mean, I do love the snow. I prefer the snow over the sun, to be honest. That was nice. I didn't enjoy reading it because the first 2 or 3 issues, the jury was out, but then after issue 3, I was just like, I was bored. My eyes were struggling to stay open. Is it worse than Doctor Strange? Probably not. So I'm going to give it the same score I give Doctor Strange and give it a 3 out of 10.
Okay. All right then. It's a 3 out of 10 for Phil there. Just making sure I've got that and I'm getting everybody else's at the same time. Shane, over to you, buddy.
This is boring and bland and bog standard and generic. I mean, this is the comic book equivalent of counting sheep, because as you're reading it, you're just falling asleep.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's nothing enjoyable about this book. The pacing is dreadful. There's no action scenes. There's no jokes. There's nothing in this book that grips you or keeps you there. I think Tom said the only thing good about this book is the colors. The coloring is decent, but that's nothing. That's not anywhere on the scale of how to save a book, unfortunately. At least Doctor Strange had a coherent story. It was basic and boring, but it was a coherent story. So this gets a lower score for me. This gets a 2.
Ooh. Yikes, man. Wow.
Not even a 2.5.
Not even a 2.5.
Scott, over to you, mate.
The art was the only saving grace of this book. You know, but even saying that, the paneling was terrible. It was just, like I said earlier, I honestly felt like my copy was missing pages. And that's just how it was. You know, the flow was bad. And Tom, I'm sorry, but I'm really glad that you were okay with not liking this book, because I would have felt terrible bashing this book. Like, the whole thing was like, most of the book was underwhelming. Like, I was hoping to see some, like, you know, feel some sort of excitement when she revealed her full like form. I was hoping to feel some sort of excitement. The fights were so quick and static and lack of continuity everywhere, but the snow was fantastic, so we'll put that into consideration. But I want to give it a 2.5 out of 10, please.
Ooh.
It was the prettiest shit book I've ever read.
I think that's that again. There's another one for the back of the book there. All right, let's have a look before we do mine, as we always do. Let's have a look, see what everybody thought of this. Let me just make sure I get right to the top here as well, so we can see where it all began. Okay, so I think it starts here. We have SCC saying it's a 2, really just for the weather, he says. Off my shelves, says, to coin a phrase, utter pap, I score 1. Says Chris there. We've got Comic Band, we've got Adam here who says, I honestly think this was just as much as a mess as Doctor Strange, but the art was less pretty to look at. 2 out of 10 for him. I forgive you, Scott. Tom, well, at least you preemptively apologized. So, I think you're forgiven too. Firehawk gives this a 5 from him, and it's a 7 from Mrs. Firehawk. Mrs. Firehawk's watching. Hello, Mrs. Firehawk. So we got their scores in as well. We've got Adam and Nicole here, who said they've both given a 4 out of 10. They say, we did really want to like this, but the storytelling is confusing. Speech bubbles pointing to the wrong characters is pretty unforgivable. Issue 1 was interesting, though. That's from Adam and Nicole there. Triple G Comics says, first reading, it caused physical and emotional pain.
No, I think he's giving it a 1.
Giving it a 1.
Oh, okay. So we got a 1, and we got Cantonese Comic Kid here as well. So hello to you. And Stonecore Collectibles is saying, I feel scummy doing this, but for me it was a 1. It was all over the place on so many levels. It hurt. I'd encourage anyone who has any interest to go read the original instead. That's right, because Stormcore actually has read the original one as well. So if anyone, well, no, because I don't want to kind of poo-poo the book, because I have the feeling that the original was probably going to be better. So if anyone does want to maybe go back and take a look at that original one, talk to Stormcore, because I know he's ready. Liam hasn't read. Have I got all the scores there?
Yeah,
you did, mate.
Okay, so that brings it in at, oh, I've got to do mine. Yeah, forgetting about myself here. I didn't like this. I'm not even going to make any bones about it. Like, again, I don't have any animosity to it, but I think, you know, when you're doing a reboot, you've got to have a bit of pizzazz behind a reboot, man, and this just didn't have it. And you guys have covered it all. It was sloppy to the point of it was a bit incoherent at points. The speech bubbles are just not justifiable at all. That is like unforgivable. Like those kind of mistakes in comic book writing. but I did like what they tried to do with the character of Alex Underwood. I did like her. I did warm to her. She just had a few things in there. I didn't like the fact that she just called for help all the time as well. Like, that's not my idea of like a comic book superhero. But whether they were trying to build the team at that point, like, I don't know. But again, it was very badly done, even in that aspect of things. The art and the coloring, I seem to like that more than you guys, to be honest with you. Like, I know you guys are kind of like putting a lot of poo-poo on that, but I genuinely thought the art was pretty good. And again, I'll stick by what I said, like, comparatively, I think the artwork, comparing it to, again, what we've looked at on here, I think that more was probably the closest thing with the colors and those pencils and stuff. Not as good. Let's put it the benchmark there, but I think comparatively, I don't think it's unfair. So I think that, again, like Scott, I'm gonna completely sign up and be on board with your phrase. The prettiest little shit book you've ever read, in my opinion. The art was great, and to me, the colorist is a hero on this as well. Absolutely fantastic colors, and again, lots of neons popping and all of that. But it doesn't save the book. I'm going to shut up and give it a 3.5 for me.
Ooh, highest score.
That's the highest score.
But let me just put that in there. That is purely because of the art. I do feel the art wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. The art was good. Wasn't the greatest. So I don't feel it deserves to be lower than that for me. So yeah, 3.5. All right, so let's see. Go on. Sorry, Phil.
I just feel really bad for the character, for the property. Just like, who is Caitlin Kittredge? Like, who is she? What's her pedigree? What's she done before? What's she doing now? I just feel bad for Witchblade.
Yeah.
There you go. Phil's having sad feelings. There we go. Right, so let's work it all out. What people thought. Everybody watching along and participating with us, on an average, taking all of those scores, they've given it a 3 out of 10. Which I think that's definitely classed as a stinker, isn't it? 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
And us chaps here on the screen, we have given it a 2.8. So, based on a 2.8, let me just get rid of the banner there. We'll do that, and then we will call up that Nerd Herd leaderboard. I think it's pretty obvious where this is going to fall on the Nerd Herd leaderboard.
Wow.
Come on, baby.
This comes in at 24th, which is bottom place. It comes in under Doctor Strange Origin, which got a 3.3. So this is last.
Well deserved.
Sunday Sky, that's 20 quid, mate. All right.
Yeah. I'll send it to you later. PayPal.
So yeah, I think there's somebody did actually mention on here. They said, "Oh, I might pick this up. I've got a feeling there might be some copies on eBay tomorrow." I can't remember who said it in the chat.
3 volumes.
So there you go, folks. That is episode 33 of the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. There, that is what we made of Witchblade. Tom wholeheartedly apologizes, I'm sure.
I did before even reading.
See, the thing with these people's choices, you think people would pick books that they really enjoyed?
Well, no, because I read along with you guys, so I pick books that I'm interested in reading, not ones that I love.
That'll teach you.
Right.
That will, yeah, definitely. Because the other ones we're picking.
I enjoy reading those books as well. I even when we pick the bad books, it's just fun to have that discussion, and it's fun to kind of see what everybody thinks and the jokes that people are making. Like, that's the whole reason we do this, really, is to just get together and talk about the things we do like and talk about the things we don't like. And there's just a lot we didn't like on this one. So with that wrapped up, then Firehawk here is saying volume 2 next week.
Volume 2 never.
No.
I'm off next week.
Yeah, I've got COVID next week. I can't do it. All right, on that note, let's start wrapping it up then, because we're hitting that time mark. So let's just go around and let people know what we're going on. Tom, have you got anything going on your Instagram? I know you're not very active on the YouTube these days.
Instagram is just what I pick up now and again, and any films that I come across that I'm interested in.
Okie doke. Phil?
Nothing. I just dropped a haul video recently. I'm approaching 200 subs. That's always good. So sub me up. Your milestone would be nice, but nothing incoming this week.
There you go, folks. Shane?
I have my What's in the Box tomorrow, and I have my Read and Reacts every Tuesday as well.
Nerd.
Nerd. I love that. Scott, how about yourself?
I think on this weekend, Amy and I will be recording our second episode of judging my comic covers. So that'd be quite good. But yeah, I just want to drum up some hype of the fact we've got the Comic Airwaves Best Bits coming on the 29th, and I've also got the next auction on the 30th. So if you want to buy some Marvel and DC books for the Cancer Research UK, then come on by.
There you go.
I've got 3 volumes I can donate.
Who wants to make money, Tom? These people have suffered enough.
Okay, folks.
I've never been asked back.
Okay, folks. I'll see us out with the with a few shout outs, but before I do that, let me let you know. I can see Shane waving at me. I didn't forget this time, Shane. I didn't forget. I was just leaving it at the end. Let you know what I read next week, and there's going to be a bit of a change in the way that we let you know what we're reading. What we're going to do is this is obviously a choice that you guys have picked when we did the vote. Every time we do one of these shows, these episodes, when I load on next week's, I will also load on the rest of that cycle. So it will be my pick, it will be Scott's pick, Phil's pick, and Shane's pick. So you will get all the way up to the next choice that you guys get to make as well. And the reason why we're going to do that is because I think some people are trying to order physical copies, and like a week turnaround with posting stuff is proving to be a bit of a pain. So hopefully we get to, make that easier on a few people as well. So as of tomorrow, when we load on next week's, we'll load on the rest of the cycle, and we'll go in those waves. All right, then. So next week, we will be reading a 4-issue mini-series from Oni Press. We will be reading Dead of Winter from 2017. This is a tie-in to a tabletop board game. So if you like tabletop board games and you like zombies, you might like this one next week.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's what we're reading next week, folks.
Nice.
Okay, let's end it with some shout outs real quick. First one I want to shout out for people is, and again, these are channels that if you like us, you may like these too. Go check out Ultra Q. You can find her at JRails247. She's seriously enthusiastic about comic books. So it's fun to watch her stuff. So go and check her out there in that link. Also go and check out and do all of the YouTube stuff to our man Triple G Comics. You'll see him floating around in here as well. I think we've got a new catchphrase now, haven't we? Utter Pap, coined by him himself today. Yeah. So go and check out Triple G as well. He's a cool guy. And last shout out I want to give is for an Instagram account, and that is for Stone Cold Comics. You'll see him in the chat here as SCC. Go and check him out on Instagram. He posts some really cool stuff like collected editions and stuff like that. I get serious FOMO looking at his Instagram page.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, everybody go and check that. FOMO for the win. On that note then, folks, we are done. That wraps that up. Hopefully we're going to have some higher scores rolling in next week. Fingers crossed. And hopefully you're all going to join us too. So on that note, Shane, what will we do?
I don't know. I'm new here. This is my first time. But get your waves out.